Continuing with the development of controls within Looker Studio, in this class, we will learn about the next control, the drop-down list. To do this, we will duplicate the pages so that we can have each of the controls we learn about on a different page. Let's go to the Page section and duplicate the current page. All right, we have duplicated it. First of all, I want us to assign names to the pages so that they don't get lost in our learning process. So the first one we created will be renamed Date Range Control. And the second one we are currently working on will be named Drop-Down List. Perfect. We will continue to keep the date range control we saw in the last class. It is very important that we have a well-defined date and that we know the interval our information is covering. So we will always maintain this period control across the different controls we will learn. Let's add our drop-down list. What does this drop-down list allow us to do? Well, the drop-down list allows us to have a dimension to filter different data, and that dimension, containing categories, will enable us to filter by categories. For example, in this case, it brings the date, but I'm not interested in the date because I already have my period control. It doesn't make sense for me to bring the date within a list. What I'm going to do is add the dimension of country. Perfect. Now, with this configuration, when we expand the list, we can filter by each of the countries. I can specify that I only want to see one country, and look, all the charts and elements within the report will be filtered just for that country. Remember that the map was showing us information from other countries. Now, it is only showing the information for the country I selected in the drop-down list. Similarly, I can select a series of countries. Look, I'm checking off the different countries for which I need information. And we see that our entire report adapts to those filters I am establishing within this control. I'll select all countries again to leave the drop-down list at its default setting. There is something interesting we can also do with drop-down lists. When I expand this list, it brings not only the dimensions, but also an associated metric. So we can have quick access to the information or a quick reading regarding a metric we determine is important to assign to this drop-down list. For example, here I have the views. I can change these views, for instance, to sessions. To do this, I go to the Configuration section, and in the metric, I select the one I wish to implement. In this case, for the sake of the example, I will simply change it to sessions. Now, if we go to the drop-down list, we see that it has changed to sessions. For each of the countries, it now shows the number of sessions. We can also choose the order in which the information is displayed. In the Order section of the Configuration menu, I can choose to sort it either by the country dimension or by the sessions metric. If I choose to sort by country, the order will be alphabetical, allowing me to control whether I want it to be ascending or descending. When sorted in ascending order, it will display from AZ. And if I choose descending, it will show from ZA. If I select sessions as the sorting metric, it will assign a numeric order, showing the country with the most sessions to the one with the least, or vice versa. Another configuration I can implement is a top limit. By configuring a top limit, I can indicate that it should only show a specific number of countries. If I choose 10, it will display the top 10 countries according to the order I assigned earlier. I will ensure that the order is set by sessions in descending order so that it shows from highest to lowest. Now, if we go to our drop-down list, we see that it is indeed only displaying the top 10 countries with the highest number of sessions. The others are grouped into a category called All Others. There are other functionalities I can use when implementing the drop-down list control. For example, I will select My Control, and if I go to the Style section, we can enable or disable the search box. Look, when you expand the list, suppose you're working with a lot of information, or that this dimension has many categories, and you want to select a specific one. I want to see only the views for Colombia, but first let's disable the top 10, as it would not show me Colombia's information. Now, if I type Colombia in the search bar, it automatically brings up the related field. And if I select the only option, my report is configured based on that control. This option can be enabled or disabled. If I disable it, it will no longer appear, and I won't be able to do that search, but I can re-enable it, and I'll have my search box back. Similarly, we also have the option for individual selection, which I can enable or disable. What this will do is allow me to select just one of the values in the drop-down list. I won't be able to make a multiple selection, so I'm going to disable this option, and now I can make a multiple selection.